He's always sending us into firefights.
At least you have something to do.
I guess Cobra Commander's not that bad, he just screams a lot.
Hey guys, what are you talking about?
Hey, don't worry about it. This is a meeting for those of us that can hit the broadside of a barn.
Don't be a dick, Bob.
Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today we're taking a look at the Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Special Missions Cobra Island Cobra Trooper. Okay, if you're doing this new line of G.I. Joes, you already know how heartburn-inducing this new wave is. We couldn't get it up on pre-order, at least most of us couldn't, and now it is hitting just certain targets. I feel like it'll eventually be easier to get, because from what I hear, they're straight cases of each character, they're reorderable, replenishable on the shelves, so I'm not too worried. But Dan Drews hit me up on Instagram and said, hey, I found an extra trooper, would you like it for cost plus shipping? And I was like, oh yeah. So much love to Dan Drews because, man, this scratches the itch for the moment. I'm still wanting Beachhead and Baroness and even Roadblock because of that awesome beard and more Cobra Troopers, but this will do me for, well, the next couple days, I guess. Looking at the package, it's what we're used to with this new G.I. Joe line. You have an open window, you have some graphics in the back. Is that a Cobra symbol and maybe something and some explosion? Makes it exciting. But you see most of what you get with the figure. There's the G.I. Joe logo, Classified Series. This Special Missions Cobra Island logo that I guess is just exclusive to Target. Awesome character art here. And on the side, it's another view of that. It extends down. I need more posters like this. On the back, there's this map type situation going on. There's the volcano, but you build your base right on it because that's the smart thing to do. Lava! This is kind of neat because you can look at it and go, here's the situation. I'm going to drop my Joes in here. Cobra is going to fortify here. They battle. They're going to meet right here on the ridge. Down here's the warnings in all kinds of languages, and one just says parents. And then figure and 8 accessories, and then of course the warning, don't put them in your mouth. On the other side, here's those specialties that the Trooper has. This is all explained on Hasbro's G.I. Joe site. And then the Trooper is number 12 in the series. On the top, Cobra logo, number 12. On the bottom, all your legalese, your barcode, but let's get this open and see how he's gonna, well, essentially be cannon fodder for the Joes, but yeah. Oh, and pulling it out, I already like how many accessories it has. We seem to be getting all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, and there we go, all out of the package, and this is such a good looking figure. I'm still blown away at how aesthetically pleasing this whole line is. It took a minute to get over the design elements that we weren't used to from the vintage line, but the more it gets ingrained in my brain, the more I just love this line more and more. Right from the top, to get something out of the way that I said during the last weekly, I mentioned that this reused some Duke parts. I stand corrected because while the design elements at the pants mostly are the same, it's a different design scheme. Same thing for the knee pads and the shin guards. You look at it quickly and you think, oh, same pants, rah! But it only makes sense that they are similar because they were both sculpted by Fred at Boss Fight Studios. I can't complain because they're common design elements. It makes it feel like part of the same line. There's nothing wrong with that. Because there's so much other stuff to look at. The contrast between the flats, even though it's broken up with wrinkles, it has these grooved and textured pads on top of it. Could have been boring, but it's definitely not. I gotta grab Duke again. I mean, it is so close that you think, oh, it is the same, but it's not. It has a nice texture to it, some seam lines running through it, and of course the wrinkles bringing in a bit of realism. The knee pad's nice and sharp. I keep thinking that it's a Cobra logo or some kind of snake design, and it may be, but then again, you could buy these at a sporting goods store. I'm only seeing snake stuff because of, Cobra! The shin guards are part of the sculpt, but it looks like it is separate because of these nice bands going around the back. Again, what we saw with Duke, I think. Little kick guard on the top of the boot with some wear and tear. Apparently this trooper kicks some ass. The shin guards share the same aesthetic, that's a hard sentence to say, as the forearm guards. It's a matching set. Band sculpt coming around, making it feel like it's having to be held on the forearm. In fact, at first I thought, oh, that's a separate piece that comes off, but it's all part of the sculpt. This Cobra logo and this undergarment is part of the torso sculpt, but everything on top of that is one separate piece. This is all gear. It's beautifully sculpted, but it feels a little bulky. It's in the way of some articulation. You have a holster with an awesome Cobra logo, and that ties into right here on the back of the hands too. You got a Cobra logo there. And there. I think that's all of them. It's almost like a scavenger hunt trying to find them. But you have holster, you have sheath, you have another holster. It's welded on. There is no seam where you can just peel it off. And there's always the robo method of just slicing the thing off. But I'm sure you could also pop the arms and then slide it off. I'm not going to do that this time around because I plan on getting more of these. Frecky over on the Patreon did send me pictures of his where he removed it, and it still looks good. It takes a minute to adjust to not having that big bulky torso, but it crunches forward, it arcs back, it has all the movement that you expect from this line. Also, it's a whole lot of black right here. It needs a dry brush, some detail paint. Lots of sculpted detail here and there. Even looks like some rust that they just painted over. They were like, hey, it's just Cobra Troopers, just paint over it and get them out the door. The different materials here would just be set off beautifully with maybe some green, some silver, something else. And then, of course, all those design elements are up at the head. The smooth blue, and then you have the sculpted detail in the black parts. That's even true for the neck down here. The mask could have been cloth like the original cartoon, the comic books, but this has some added detail because that's what this line is all about. And even brings in some silver paint there for the edges. But for something that's essentially cannon fodder, the troops, Hasbro went as far as to put photoreal on the eyes, and it just sets it off. I talk about the plain colors of the body and easy to lose detail, but your eye is automatically drawn right up to here. And that's because this dude looks angry to the point where I almost feel like this is not a trooper. This is a specialist of some kind. And if they're putting this much tender loving care into just a trooper, this makes me more excited for characters. Well, I want to get my hands on Beachhead, of course, but like Firefly, I've been sitting here for a minute trying to think of negatives because this is where I usually put those before I get into articulation. But besides the gear holding up the torso joint, because, well, that is a major gripe, I guess, you can't really use the ab crunch at all. But you do get movement from the ball joint that they've been implementing at the waist. Oh, wait, I just got a click, and it kind of throws the gear up in the air on his back, but you can get a crunch out of it. Oh, and then there's the neck. There's a ball joint down at the bottom, and then a hinge and a ball at the top. When I first got him out of the package, he was jutting forward at the neck like this, and I couldn't get it to go down. That's because the detents in that hinge in the neck, they're in kind of a weird spot. Try to push forward, and it's actually all in the bottom of the neck. Don't get me wrong, he still looks down, but it can go further, and what I've been doing is cranking back. Hold on to that, because if you don't, the whole neck turns. But turn the head to the back, then crank it forward because the chin's not in the way, and then turn it at the top. That's if you want to get looking down a bit with the neck straight up and down. Also, if you turn it and don't know which way the front of the neck is, there's a V shape and the grooves go to the front. The straight blue on the back, that's on the back. But going over articulation, we just talked about the neck. He can look completely up. There's down. Oh, so much tilt. Swivel. Butterfly joint at the shoulder goes back, comes forward. Not forward enough to grab something by both hands, though, if you want to keep the arm straight. And it's not the gear getting in the way. Well, maybe it's definitely the knife sheath getting in the way on this side. Outside of that, there's a hinge at the shoulder going up to 90. Swivels around. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow. And not all the way because the armor gets in the way right there. Swivel at the wrist and then side to side hinge on the right. Like Duke, this trooper is apparently left-handed because the up and down hinge is on the left. Already talked about the hinge at the mid-torso. There is a click when you get halfway. Maybe some arc back. But because of the gear, most of the movement is at the ball in the waist, and he hula hoops fairly well. There's a drop down at the hip, which comes up to here. Little helpful. Oh, it drops down further than I thought it did. Back, out. Oh, impressive. Again, if this was up, it hit right here. You drop it down a bit, you get a little bit more movement. That's better than Spider-Man. Rotation at the thigh. Double knee. Oh, a little bulky at this point, but you can push. Bing! Swivel at the boot, nicely hidden behind the shin guard. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward, and then a forward-facing pin for some rocker. For accessories, the Cobra Trooper comes with a knife, and I've played with this a couple of times, but I'm just now noticing that it looks like a snake opening its mouth and the blade is coming out of it. It also comes with dual pistols. They're both the same sculpt, same gun. There's a smaller rifle, same amount of detail, nice little sculpt, and then a longer sniper-looking gun. The problem with these, the weapons, all of them in general, is there's no paint to them. Again, like the gear on the torso, it's just easy to lose all that detail in there, so I may come back, do a silver dry brush, do some wear, some tear, something. And yes, I've seen the graphics and the charts and everything of people lining these up to their Nerf counterparts. But at this point, it doesn't even bother me, especially after watching the cartoons again where there's a weather dominator and they're shooting lasers and there's big monsters and fatal fuzzies and furies or whatever. In fact, as much as I'm liking this line, this makes me want to go buy some Nerf guns just to... Well, I wouldn't play G.I. Joe. Shut up. The cool thing about this, though, all the weapons the trooper comes with is storable on the figure. Of course, he can hold them all in his hands, although I have had some trouble getting the sniper rifle into his grip. The other one's nice and easy, though, with the patented push and twist. But there's a pistol holder on the front. And I'm no expert, but this being like this, wouldn't this be a left-hand draw? And then on the back, there's a holster for the other pistol. Although I'd feel like this is supposed to be over here and turned. And then both of the big rifles have big honking pegs sticking out the side of them. I don't really care for that because in half the pictures I've taken already, it's very visible. But those are meant to plug into the gear here. Or I guess you could plug it into the back if you wanted to up there. Yeah, that plugs too. Looks odd though. There's nothing left over. Everything is on him. But that's not all he comes with. He also comes with an armband and some cranium accessories. I guess the armband is to change it to some kind of officer. At first I thought, oh man, that's going to be a pain in the ass getting over that armor. But it slips right over the hand and comes up and slips over that armor with some pushing. Once you get it up to the bicep and pushed up and tight, it looks like, well, it sticks out just slightly, but it looks like part of the sculpt, really. And it's cool because it rotates with the bicep. But there's also a pair of goggles. Gotta fiddle with them a little bit, get them lined up, get them over the eyes. And I've messed with this quite a bit. You can't quite get all the skin tone to disappear. I would have liked for none of that to be visible once you have the goggles on, but it's not bad. And I especially like how it also fits into the snake motif with the slits for the eyes. I'm sure it's some kind of night vision or something, but yeah, it's snaky. And then finally there is the helmet. Again, it follows all the same design elements. It has a seam running around the back. It could have been just plain, but I like this addition back here. Smooth on the inside, no kind of peg or anything, but it fits on the head so nicely that you're not going to have a problem with it. And it looks like it belongs there. I thought with it being separate it would stick up or stick out, but no. That looks amazing. And really, if you wanted to, you can put the goggles back on, and that does not affect putting the helmet on it at all. In fact, it helps hide some of that skin tone I was just bitching about. So here's your faceless troopers if you want that look. The cool thing about the goggles and the helmet and this armband and the different weapons, you can have them holding different things, looking different if you buy multiples. You can make each one, even though they are all wearing the same uniform, slightly unique. Size-wise, the trooper stands at about 6 1/16 inches tall, which works out beautifully with some of the other normal-sized characters in the line. And the same can be said for some of the bigger and smaller characters too. Ooh, makes me need a Cobra Commander badly. Here it is with the Stormtrooper and the Hoth Rebel Soldier. Looking at this, you would think G.I. Joe skews larger, but again, this is a 6'1" dude compared to probably 5'9" Stormtrooper and 5'10" Hoth Rebel Trooper. But that is small for a line like Marvel Legends that kind of pushes that 6.5 inch scale. Oops, I forgot to mention, taking this off is a bit tricky. You have to go down over the forearm armor. The forearmor? But you want to get it kicked over the edge. But it also gets caught on this inside band. So what I've been doing is just twist and jiggle, bring it down. The hand is another problem. You're going this way, it wants to grab onto it, but the hands do just pop out. Pull that off, plug the hand right back in. So at the end of the day, the Cobra Trooper is more badass than it has any right to be. Don't get me wrong, it's probably my favorite look for a trooper in the Cobra ranks. When they first announced the Red Ninja, I was kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I guess, that's cool. And then the poster had the Alley Viper, which is nice, but at the same time, I don't know, I just like how this Cobra Trooper adheres to the overall scheme of Cobra, I guess. It feels more like something Cobra Commander himself came up with. I wear blue, you shall too! Or maybe it goes back to my love of Stormtroopers from Star Wars. They're nice, they're clean, you can put a bunch of them together and they look awesome. Well, I guess that's the same concept for Alley Vipers and Red Ninjas too, but there's something about this. This is the basics. This is where all the other troopers sprung from. And it doesn't help, in my wallet anyway, that Hasbro is killing it with the articulation and the sculpt on these. Sure, they get in the way of themselves in places, but a lot of the time there's an avenue to get around it. If you're bothered by the Nerf gun thing, that's easy enough to replace. You can go on eBay and find all kinds of weapons or steal them from your other toys. It's Cobra, that's what they do. And it almost seems like Hasbro took that initial, oh my god, look at all the gold and reds and all these oddball colors sticking out, and toned that down. They actually listened. Because this is just blue and black with some red elements. That's as classic as it gets. Of course, it's on top of, you know, shin armor, forearm armor, bunch of detail on the chest, but at the same time, that one gripe that I had is completely gone with this figure. This cements it. I was talking about it with Wave 1 when I reviewed those, but getting this Cobra Trooper in hand and the anxiety I feel about getting the rest of the Cobra Island crew, this is my G.I. Joe line. That's it. I don't need anything else, ever. So if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus if you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I guess one of the options would be to slice these holsters off, because with the knife, it gets in the way of him holding the gun up to his shoulder. There's nothing you can't do with a blade.